The full Dreams PS4 release date was revealed recently, due on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. How romantic. As we prepare to say our farewells to Dreams Early Access, just how fond of it were we? And was it a success from a technical and commercial point of view? There were a lot of good points as well as some niggling negatives. Let's discuss what we thought worked well, the potential the game has, and what could be improved upon beyond the full release. It all started when we first got our hands on the long-awaited Creation Suite with the beta version in December of 2018. It was a long time coming, a very, very long time. Finally, people could see what the game and its tools were all about. There were a lot of questions about just how powerful Dreams was, and how far it could be pushed once people got to grips with it. The beta already produced a lot of early promise, with some great levels and tech demos. Of course, it wasn't without its flaws, but these could be brushed aside considering this was people's first real exposure to the game, and perhaps it was some people's first exposure to creative games or creation in general. There was nothing here that would rival, let's say, real games, but for creators it was a nice introduction. Then, shortly after the beta had closed, Early Access was upon us. Early Access was a great idea. It allowed all of us eager creators, and to an extent players, to pay a reduced price to basically play an extended beta. The draw was that if you bought Early Access, then you would receive the full game free of charge, so it was a win-win. By this point, Early Access is 9 months old and will complete around 10 months before it is shut down for good. 9 to 10 months sounds like a lot of time to create some amazing creations, especially when you consider how short but promising the creative output was from the beta. Now, don't get me wrong, the creations produced within this early access period have been phenomenal, and it's definitely a helpful step forward reaching the potential of Dreams. But are these creations groundbreaking enough to attract a wider audience? Are the tools user-friendly enough to ensure even the most novice of creators can still enjoy and have fun? I am going to dive in and give you my absolute honest opinions. And if anyone at Media Molecule are watching, this is not a major criticism on the game or potential of Dreams. I think it is incredible, and I can clearly see the vast scope of its potential, but I'm not so sure others can. First, let's look at the user creations. The great thing about Dreams is that it allows you to express yourself in all sorts of fields. I've been around long enough to see paintings, scenery, and single sculpts be a huge part of what's on offer from the community. Not to discard these amazing pieces of work, but I want to focus more on the gameplay side of things, as it's more natural to assume that most players will buy Dreams to play games, not to look at paintings. The gameplay on offer has been a mixed bag of genres, as well as varying levels of quality. Early Access has managed to produce some absolute gems of levels and short games. That's what gives me hope that more can surface over time. But the release gap between each of these outstanding levels though are just too far apart. You have to wait months before you'll come across another of similar quality and ambition. Now, I know what you're going to say. What are you talking about? There's plenty of amazing levels every week. I wouldn't disagree with you. I love to play short but sweet single levels, as I did back in the Little Big Planet days. But when you really look at these levels, are they enough? Or do they merely act as demos for what could be in the future? To give you an example, let's look at one of the most impressive levels that came from Early Access. Slide Out, a clear inspiration from the Wipeout franchise, is jammed-packed full of quality. The graphics are stunning, the gameplay feels incredibly smooth, even the main menu has amazing detail. This is a type of level which highlights perfectly just how far you can go with Dreams if you really put in the effort. But despite how wonderful this level is, would someone buy Dreams to play it? The answer would unfortunately be no. Fantastic level, take nothing away from it, but unless there is more consistency with these types of levels every week, then Dreams just becomes a showcase rather than an amazing playable experience. If Little Big Planet could produce strong levels almost daily, then Dreams really needs to step up to the plate. It's easy to blame this on creators, but you could also blame it on Dreams itself as not being as accessible as it could be. I'm not saying that making full games will solve the problem, but from my experience speaking with others who don't own Dreams, they couldn't care less about the levels on display thus far. I have a friend who asks me on occasion if there's any games worth playing in Dreams yet, and whilst there are some gems which I mentioned, I can't wholeheartedly recommend them to a non-Dreams player. I just don't think it's quite enough as of yet. If you can remember playing LBP back in the day, particularly the second game, you could find a bunch of really solid levels on a daily basis. It was outstanding. In Dreams, there's nothing solid about most of the creations. Most are tech demos or a glimpse into what could be done rather than actually doing it. And you've probably heard the term jankiness being thrown around when the controls or camera just doesn't feel right. Dreams is certainly a much harder and complex tool to get your head around compared to LBP, so naturally less people will be able to hit the ground running quite as quickly. Although I've even seen prominent beta creators output barely anything during early access, if anything at all in some cases. This does lead me to believe that most of them are working on some groundbreaking stuff which could potentially save Dreams by pulling in that wider audience with a bunch of solid levels, films and games. And yes, I say save because I feel as though Dreams has already hit its peak with interested players, and something big must be done to wow anyone who is on the fence or simply doesn't know just how incredible this game can and will be. When Dreams does finally release in February, it will certainly allow more territories to get their hands on the game, as early access was limited to certain countries and regions. However, it isn't exactly hard to set up an account in those valid, so I'm sure if anyone really wanted Dreams Early Access, they would have found a solution. That leaves more casual players, curious curators, and any remaining LBP enthusiasts. I can only see hardcore gamers taking Dreams seriously once it can be safely said that Dreams is capable of producing quality and polished experiences. The full game has a lot to prove. What exactly do we know about the full release anyway? Unfortunately, it seems as though both online multiplayer and VR support will be absent. This is crushing news, particularly regarding online. Both of these will play a pivotal role in providing further much needed strength to the Dreams framework, satisfying even more potential players whilst giving existing players something to be excited about. What we do know will be included is the long-awaited story mode directly from Media Molecule. Sadly, it is estimated to run for a mere 2 hours, which will be over in no time. Hopefully the reviews won't focus solely on the story mode, as there is so much more to Dreams than the official campaign. One thing Media Molecule must do to lead by example is to offer every single asset, including characters and logic for everyone to use. Nothing is exclusive, just as it was in Little Big Planet. I've also heard from some Dreamers that they would love to see what's under the hood for each story mode level. Whilst I can't see allowing us to remix a full level directly to avoid mass duplication, I can see the assets with their logic available to study, as well as some new tutorials and perhaps some videos or live streams to give anyone curious enough a behind the scenes look at how it all works and comes together. The future of Dreams is an exciting one. It's up to Sony and to keep pushing Dreams forward with sales and important updates and community events. But although they have to lead the way, I feel as creators, players and Dreams enthusiasts, we must do our part to lift Dreams to the heights that it deserves. Dreams is already revolutionary, no matter what anyone says. It has proven that it is a one-of-a-kind game, even surpassing the likes of LBP. Perhaps it will never surpass a game such as Minecraft in terms of sales, but it certainly can in terms of ambition and possibility. But it's all good saying Dreams has infinite potential. We must put that into practice and produce the best possible content, or it will all be for nothing. have spoken about a 10, even 20-year lifespan for Dreams, no doubt through numerous sequels and major updates. That is really encouraging to hear and only gives us more determination to stand strong together throughout this period and see out their creative vision with each of our own. It's very easy to say that Dreams and its growing community must come up with the goods, but we would be hypocrites if we didn't try to also lead by that example. If you've been following our creative journey thus far, we have been taking baby steps to create a bunch of levels and short animations in the background in order to learn and become comfortable using the tools. Excluding these, essentially little practice projects, we will have some big games and animations coming your way in 2020 and beyond. There is literally a 10 to 20 year plan in place to mirror MM's own ambitions, and we can't wait to get started as the quality improves and our team expands. One of those big game projects in development is a community-led one, as every week we continue to work on a classic survival horror, taking your suggestions and feedback to shape it every step of the way. More projects will be revealed once development is sufficient enough, but you can expect the smaller levels and short animations to drop on the channel every month. What I will say about all of the bigger projects is that I hope to lead the way with innovation and inspiration. It's impossible to state that we will bring you the absolute best Dreams has to offer, but it is absolutely our ultimate goal, and time will tell if we achieve that. One day we would love to look back at all of the games, episodes and films and feel as though we did everything we could to bring you top quality content that can be remembered for years to come. There's a lot that still has to be proven with Dreams. Although we are only witnessing a glimmer of its future potential, we are seeing a steady progression, one which we believe will manifest into something incredible. Time is the only real question, and although early access will have proven useful for players and themselves, there will always be new players beginning their very own creative journey in the full game, and they will require all of the tips and tricks and sheer experience in order to get up to speed. Dreams can be anything you make it, not just the most polished content, but the wonderful ability to just simply express yourself, and that can't be taken for granted. Dreams should be for all types of players, but all we are saying is that there needs to be a strong emphasis on quality creations to get a vast amount of gamers seriously into Dreams, whether that's through fully fledged games, consistently outputting unique levels and experiences, or films and animations. Dreams needs all the support it can get. Media Molecule will have to be on the ball to keep developing the game, but we as creators and players must do our part to emphasize the strengths and highlight the weaknesses for improvement. Most games rely on the developers themselves, but Dreams is a completely different beast in that the community will make or break its success. That's all for today's Dreams video. What were your thoughts on Dreams Early Access? And are you excited for what's to come next in Dreams? Let us know down in the comments below. We would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, as we bring you full coverage of Dreams PS4 plus an assortment of original animations and games of our own. Click to view a collection of our current animations or watch one of our latest videos. You can also subscribe by clicking on our little red imp. See you in the next Dreams video.